And next question, how long does a typical boudoir session last? Do they usually take place at day or night? Thank you. Well, I don't think there is a standard time. Photographers use all kinds of weird and wonky pricing methods and session methods and stuff like that. And I think it's gotten a little bit better over the time. But the one thing that you have to keep in mind is that in women's photography, boudoir photography isn't really sold. You're paying for a result, not necessarily a unit of time. And also, women's photography, it's meant to be a bit of experience, not like a rush. You're not like coming in and rushing through a bunch of stuff. It's supposed to be a break from your day, a break from your everyday routine, and to have a bit of fun. So I never saw what the point of rushing people, through that. Just have them relax. How often do you ever get to do something like that? And it's about the experience. It's about taking your time and going through. I mean, in my particular case, people are usually there, I'm going to say maybe for upwards of 4 hours or so. And of that, maybe the first hour is just getting ready, hair and makeup, because if that's part of a session, people coming in and getting their makeup done and their hair done, that in and of itself can take a while for that. And then there could be preparations of looking through some outfits or so forth. And when you get into the actual photo part, you could be doing photos for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And another thing about this, longer is not always necessarily better, because people get fatigued. You can always only take so many photos, and after a while you're like, oh, I'm starting to get a little tired. So it's also something that when I do, I try to gauge the person's energy as we go through as well. And if I see someone starting, we've had enough, then I said, all right, we're good. We got plenty of photos. So depending in the real world, you could be, not counting the makeup part, but just the actual photo part on a standard session could be 2.5 hours or so. That's plenty of time to go through, do the kind of photos you want, get plenty of outfits in without being fatigued, without it being too long, without it being too short, So that's on average what other people do, and there are still photographers that charge by unit of time, anything that's less than an hour or so, if you find someone charging that way, is really a little bit of a sprint, and you have to change, and you're being a little bit of a rush. You just want to be prepared for that. Because when they say an hour, it seems like it's a long time. Like if I told you to hold your breath for an hour, you'd be like, that's crazy. But when you get in and start to do a photo session, it goes by like in a snap. An hour is like basically nothing. So I would say if it's just a normal session, there is no time limit for photographer. It's based on the result. But if you do see someone charging by units of time, and you're forced to pick in your area, someone is going by a unit of time, at least an hour, minimum to 2 hours, that way you can get in there and do the poses that you want to. Preferably you can find someone who is not charging by time is optimally the best way to do it. And my guess is probably most sessions are day. I know I've always been a day person because often I'm using window light. I think there are some photographers that do window. It can be done in the evening. It's just a little bit different because when you're doing photos at night, you need to use a lot of those big flashy lights, and when those things are flashing, it just creates a little bit of a different feel in a photo. They are a little bit less soft. They can be more contrasty or so forth, and it just gives the photos a little bit of a different feeling to it. And again, not that that's wrong, but you just want to sort of be aware of the type of photos you want, and depending how the lights are set up, you can have harder shadows with flash, but there's no way around it. If you're at night, you got to use those flashes, and the photographer has to account for that. So my preference has always been day. Again, there isn't sort of a right or wrong, but understand that if you're working somewhere at night or in the evening, they're going to be using flash photography, which can impact the look of your shots a little bit and make them look a little bit more kind of like contrasty. And I've always been more of a smoother, softer type of a look. So that's what you wind up with that.